Hello everyone, this is Diane. I haven't really started a new journal yet, but I know that I'll be working on a sewing themed journal for my friend. So I have done some ephemera. If you've been watching my videos, you would have seen last Tag Tuesday was were some sewing tags, and then I also did what did I do? I did something, envelopes, the coin envelopes. So today I'm going to do another Tag Tuesday because it's been a week. I still haven't started the journal. But on the way to church today, I rode with my son, so I had free hands. And I just sketched out some ideas for some tags to make. So that's what I did. And now I'm going to show you what I made, and we're going to work on some more. So my friend, who this journal is for, she gave me this for my birthday, this fabric. Not this past August, but the August before. So I thought it was about time I got it out and used it. So I want to make sure I put some of this in her journal. So I made a tag that's fabric covered, and I just added a piece of lace and hung some buttons from the lace and added seam binding, and that's it. That's a simple tag, but really neat with the pretty pattern ladies on it. So this one I already glued the fabric to it. I have to sew around it, but I'm going to do that step with you, the gluing step. I have this piece that I had torn off, the large piece of fabric. We're at my sewing machine today because we're going to be doing some sewing. So I'm going to just put some glue on here. Seems pretty straight. So I'll be making one fabric journal for my friend and one to put in my shop. So I need two of each kind of tag, and I already have these two prepped, but it won't hurt to have a couple extras to put back in my stash. I do have a couple of things that I had made the last time I did sewing journals, or a previous time, so I can use them in this journal. So it's fun to get out my supplies and say, oh, I already have that done. So it won't hurt while I have all these things out to just get some extras made. Today is Sunday. You probably figured that out because I mentioned going to church. So we drive about 25 minutes to get to church, where we're going now. And then we continued, after church, we continued up the way a little bit further away from home to eat out. I didn't know that that was the plan, but I didn't mind. I went to Olive Garden for lunch, and then, but by the time we got home, it was about 2:30. So I haven't had a whole lot of time to work on these, and it's already past 4:30 now. All right, so these are the ones I just glued and cut out. So I'm going to take this one that's already dry and sew around it, but I want to add the lace. This is the lace I used. It's a delicate crochet lace. It's not a real thick one, so I think it's excellent for this project. And I'm just gonna trim it. The journal digital kit that I'm using might not really go with these colors, but we'll see how it goes. There's a lot of pink and turquoise in that digital kit. So I'm going to start by sewing the lace down, and then I'll continue around. Oh wait, I sewed around it before I sewed the lace because I want the lace to be free to move. So we'll just sew around the tag. Oh, and I use zigzag to catch all the raw edges. Do across the bottom again with the zigzag. Just trimming some loose threads. Now I will sew the lace across the top. I already have some buttons threaded, so that part won't take too long, I hope. This took me quite a while to do, so I did some prep work. So I took some buttons, it doesn't matter if they're 2 holes or 4 holes, and I just took some embroidery floss and threaded it through 1 hole and then tied a knot and left a loop. You'll need to cut a piece of floss quite a bit longer than what you need it to end up at, so that you have enough to wrap it around and tie the knot, and then you can just trim off the extra. And then I have some bulb pins. So I just put the bulb pin through the loop of thread and clip it on somewhere on this lace. You can try to get all the buttons hanging at the same level or stagger them. What did I do here? I think I need to move this one in a little further from the edge, but they're staggered. It's easier to do it that way for sure. Instead of trying to get them all the same. Sometimes my fingers are so clumsy. My sister bought me a beautiful, delicate little necklace with a musical note She gave it to me for Christmas yesterday, and I wanted to wear it to church today, and my fingers could not do the clasp. Now I don't want it at this level because it's too close to hanging over her head. So I'm going to move it up. Okay, that's better. And one more. I always put it so the bulb part is at the top, because if you're putting a charm on it, it always wants to fall that way anyway. The charm's way more than the buttons, so that's what I do. I put the bulb at the top, except for here, because I didn't work on it yet. But so then I used my Big Shot or my Big Bite to punch a hole. It's already got a hole in the tag, but I needed to punch a hole through the lace and fabric, and of course it doesn't give you a clean cut, and then you just snip it with scissors because it doesn't cut the circle out all the way. And then just add your seam binding or whatever you want to put in there. So there's that. And these won't get in the way of writing in your journal because you can just take the tag out. So that's tag number 1. And I think when I'm done with this video, I'll just sew around these tags and leave them in my sewing journal stash of stuff, and then I can embellish it some other way for the next journal. The next tag will also use a piece of really cool fabric. This fabric, I told you Debbie gave it to me for my birthday, and it does have a selvage with information, and I was going to tell you what it is if I can find it. Well, I'm not seeing it now. Okay, well I guess I don't know the selvage of that. Maybe I cut that off when I cut that strip. Okay, but it's not Simplicity. It's not the fabrics that you get at Joann's with the Simplicity label. Yeah, here's the strip I tore off it. Lori Holt of Bee in My Bonnet, Stitch All the Things, 2021. Just in case you want to look for it and that might help you. No, wait. This is the one. I don't know what this came from, but I remember seeing this. It's Riley Blake Designs Patterns. Okay, so got a couple options to look for there. All right, so this one is Simplicity. I got it at Joann's on clearance, and it's really cool because it has these patterns. So you can cut those out and make fun things with them. So that's what I wanted to do with that fabric. In my sewing pattern or my sewing journal stash, I found a piece of cardstock that I had glued pattern pieces, the sewing tissue, and pieces from envelopes. I had just done a master board, just a small piece of cardstock. So I cut a couple pieces of that into a tag shape, and I took one of those squares of the pattern fabric and I sewed it to a piece of this heavy duty kind of a rustic fabric, and I left that really frayed edge. I left that on there because I liked it, and just sewed it on like a little fabric flip right on the tag. Added a little bit of something behind there, so that's what we're going to do. I also had this fabric ribbon that looked like a measuring tape, so I glued that on. We're going to do that first so it has a chance to dry while I make the fabric excuse me, fabric flip. First I want to trim the corner off so I don't put glue on the corner and then have to cut it. Just have a little nick there to do. You can see the fabric is a little rolled there where I tore it, but I'm going to sew around the edge. And it still is a little rolled here, but I don't care. I like it. We've got fraying over here in the rolled edge. That is going to fray over there. It's all good. Now I'm going to let that glue dry. And I have this little piece that I cut from this all ready to go. So I'm just going to sew around it. And we'll just use a straight stitch here. I have 3 tag designs I'm doing, and none of them are complicated. You know, I don't often do complicated things. I like to keep it simple. So I'm making sure I'm far enough in because I've got frayed edges. So I'm a little into the fraying here, so I'm going to do another line of stitching that's inside more. I don't think it matters that much because, you know, this is just going to be hanging off a tag in a journal. It's not going to be getting a lot of wear and tear. It'll probably be fine, but I like to be sure. Okay. So hopefully that's dry now. I'm going to sew around this tag. And I have this vintage, it's like a bias tape, and it's got this little crocheted bit, a zigzag bit on it, but it's a very narrow bias tape. I'm going to slip it over the edge of the tag top and then kind of trim it on an angle to match the angle of the tag. And then this will go underneath that. So if you don't have this bias trim, you could just take a little narrow piece of lace and sew it along the top or behind it, either on top of this or behind the tag. whichever way you want to do it. This one is going to do both, be in front and behind. Okay, hopefully I'm going to catch everything in there. I think I'm going to, see that's down so low, it slipped down. It would not have gotten caught in, so I'm going to sew that on first just to be safe. That nice thick fabric that I put behind the Simplicity fabric, I don't really need to backstitch because I'm going to sew over it again. Gives some nice heft to this piece, and I like that. Okay, so that is secured down. Now all I have to do is sew this piece on. And I will use a zigzag for this. And there's that tag completed. You could write under here, you could write on the back. I think they're fun. And one more tag we're going to make. And that is a pocket tag. My friend's mother was a quilter, and Debbie has made, I don't know if she's made a whole quilt, but she's gone to quilting classes and made projects. So I thought it would be nice to incorporate some of these quilt patterns. Again, I don't know if they will go with the journal, the digital kit. Maybe I can look through, see if I have another quilting book or pages in my supply of pages that would have quilt patterns in a different color, but I already had these out and I didn't want to dig because my time is limited today. So today, this is what we're making. And if I have to save them for another journal another time, that's fine. I don't need to go all the way to the edges. I want to be able to sew around it. And I'm going to try to kind of center those two rows of quilting on there. Pretty good. After Debbie's mother passed away, she brought me some, pretty much her mother's scrap bag of fabrics. Unfortunately, I don't know which ones. I know there were some batiks, but I don't know what else was in her scrap bag. Otherwise, I would incorporate some of it into Debbie's journal. There's that. And I'm going to go ahead and punch that hole. I don't need to use the big bite for this because it's just paper, but this is what I have out. Thought I had everything over here, but I didn't. I might have to glue that on later if this isn't sticky enough. Then I'm going to make a pocket with this double-sided paper. I already cut it to size. I will sew it around and just kind of randomly fold this down. And then do you see this button? It's very interesting. I just found it in my button jar. It's got 2 holes at the top like a spangle instead of a button. So I don't know what that would have been used for, but I thought it would be fun to just sew it on, dripping off the point of that flap. So I had 2 of them. They were threaded together. The person that I got some of these buttons from, well, I got them at a flea market, but the person who had stored these buttons had taken the like ones and thread through them and tied them together, so these 2 were the only ones apparently because they were tied together. So I'm gonna just sew that onto that pocket. I don't think I'll do that on camera though. Maybe. Let's try it. I've got time. Just put a knot in my thread. Sometimes I have a hard time getting my thread knotted. It takes me some time to do that. I just wrap it around my finger and then roll it off and pull it, and hopefully I get a knot. Okay, that's a knot. I don't know if it's a big enough knot, but we'll try it. It has to be big enough so it doesn't pull through the paper. Well, actually, I tried doing it just through the first layer and pulling it through, and it came right through, but I realized that I could do it through both layers of paper because this isn't going to show back here. So, just need to get it in the right place. Ooh, first time! Yep. The needle makes a big enough hole that the knot comes right through. That didn't work. I don't think that worked either. Sometimes I just can't get it to tangle up when it rolls off my finger. This is one of those times it's not working. So just tying a knot this way takes a while because you have to have several layers and they all have to be in the same spot. Let's see if that's big enough. Now I have to get it through the same hole. Nope, that was up way too high. Where's the hole? Oh, it's because I'm using the tag. I only need to use this part. Silly. Okay, I just won't pull it very hard. And if I just do a lot of stitches, it'll stay. See, there are lots of reasons why I'm hesitant to sew buttons on camera. The knotting, the finding of the holes, the issues. It takes a while. But we're on our way now. You could put a little trim on that edge of the flap. Ouch, if you wanted to. Okay, I think that's enough. I'm just gonna run my needle underneath the stitches there a few times to secure it. And now all I have to do is sew around the tag with the pocket in place. want to do straight stitch. Straight stitch. If you weren't doing a sewing journal and you wanted to make a pocket tag like this, you could put a brad or an eyelet there, or just glue it down and add something. Just add whatever goes with your journal that you're making. I'll just leave that little bit of zigzag right there because it's fun. And yes, I did bring it over. This envelope of stuff, I may have shown it in a previous video. This is all stuff I've collected. It was in with my sewing journal supply kit. So I just pulled this out and added some things into this pocket. So there's a couple of digitals from 2 different kits. Oh, this is an envelope. That's right, I forgot. I knew it when I put it in there. So I'll put something in there and it can go in here. It's the perfect pattern, it says. I think this is from Artsology. And then I don't know what this one is from. But I had a sheet of these kinds of tags. Tuck that in. And then this is just a little tag. I stamped this image on it. I can do something to it. I can ink it, add something to the top, color it if I want to, but that can go right in there. So I will look for some similar things for this one. There's that tag. Oh, there's another one of those that I already stamped. How fortunate. I have some button cards. I don't think these belong in here. Maybe this button card. It's a digital. Oh, it's a little wide. Yeah, some of these aren't sewing themed. They do not belong in here. They all came from the same digital kit. So I will get these out. I mean, I could put that in there. It doesn't have to all be sewing ephemera. And it would help with the pink stuff that's part of the digital kit. Yeah, maybe I'll leave that in there. She's got a pink dress too. And I have this piece of narrow lace that I'm going to tie through the hole. We did 3 tags pretty quickly because I had everything ready. It wasn't very quick here at my house. Spent a lot of time prepping for these, but now I have some ephemera made for a couple of sewing journals. Let's take a look at our tags today. I didn't want to do that. We did these first, just some fabric glued and then sewn to a tag, and some wide lace and some buttons attached with bulb pins. And it's really fun. And then these with collaged vintage patterns and pattern envelopes, a little strip of fabric, and then a fabric flip. And a little bit of lace at the top or trim. And then these. These two were ready-made tags, shipping tags. And these two were made from cardstock that I glued collage stuff to. Then we did these pocket tags with a quilt piece in the back. It's paper, it came from a book, but it's an image of quilts. And this folded down pocket with this really fun spangle button. That's what I'm going to call it. I used double-sided paper for that, so you get a pretty pattern when you fold it over. And I put the red on the outside so that the green would separate the two reds. And then you tuck some ephemera inside. So I already made one tag in the other Tag Tuesday. So I've got enough tags for these journals now, I think. So thanks for coming along on this Tag Tuesday. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope you'll come back to see what else I make for the sewing journal and watch the whole process. It's not going to be a start to finish, but there will be some videos showing the making of the sewing theme journals. Thanks for watching. I will see you in the next video. Have a creative day today. Bye-bye.